Hey guys, it's David from Automotive Press. I have the all-new Nissan Murano. How does it perform? How does it compare to competitors? How is the quality? Let's go through the whole thing. Let me do my full engineer's review on the new Murano. Let's go. Welcome back. So I have the all-new Nissan Murano, which is an interesting vehicle because it is kind of sized about the same as a Toyota Highlander, but smaller than the Grand Highlander. It's also bigger than the Passport, but smaller than Honda Pilot, and much bigger than either the RAV4 or the CR-V. So it's kind of an interesting size because I think this is an ideal size. Not too big, not too small, and it does have Nissan's world's first variable compression engine, or VC turbo for short. It is a very interesting design from an engineer's perspective, but we don't know yet if it's going to stay reliable over long term. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But right away, let me do my full engineer's audit of the exterior and interior. We take it for a drive and see how this thing performs. So I will do my usual gaps test and also the paint quality check as well. This thing is built in the US, in Tennessee. It's the only place that builds the Murano for the North American market. Let's see how good the manufacturing quality is. Okay, let's do my usual gap test here. Again, it's built in Tennessee in the US. It's a first year production, so I expect some potential issues, but let's see how it is. In terms of gap, it's not too bad. It's 3 millimeter here in the front, but it gets progressively wider at the back at almost 3.9 millimeters. So it's a bit wider than what I like to see. But what about the side panels here? 3.1 millimeters, that's really good. Actually really tight here at 2.9 millimeters, so that's kind of surprising to me. Very tight tolerances there, and then it goes back to normal at 3.2 millimeters. So the gaps are actually okay, other than maybe the hood is a little bit misshaped, I think, because it's a bit too wide here, too narrow here. They may have to realign the hood a little bit in the manufacturing plant, and that should correct some of the misalignment here. But overall, the quality is not too bad at all. I would say it's about the same as all the other Japanese product I've seen from the US. So for example, if I compare to, let's say, a Toyota Highlander built in Indiana, this one actually is slightly better in terms of the manufacturing quality. The paint job, I think, is something that I have to think about for a little bit because it's got a lot of orange POs. Orange POs in the plastic bumper, orange PO here as well. And again, it's about the same as I would say most other Japanese model, but it just seems more obvious in this dark blue color. But let me switch gear and measure the paint thickness now using my normal paint thickness gauge. So I have the paint thickness gauge. I want the paint thickness to be between 100 to 120 microns. Thicker the better for durability reasons. Let's see how the Murano is. Start with the hood. It's 179 microns. It's actually really thick. It's also aluminum. So I'll tell you which panels are aluminum or steel as we go along as well. What about the front fender? 155 microns, also pretty thick. This is steel though. And the front door, 91.8. So this is actually really thin paint. I'm not sure why. Yeah, 93 microns. So it's kind of thin paint, but it is steel. Rear door here, 180 microns. So for some reason, this one is really thick paint. This is kind of thin paint. It's a bit odd, but potentially they might have had to apply another coating of the clear coat on this one, because I can see the gloss on this door is a little bit more than this one. So they might have had to do a repair work on this door, I'm not sure. And this is also steel. What about the rear photo panel? 158 is also steel. And just for fun, let's do the roof here. 203 microns, which is super thick, and that's because the roof is black. You can tell there's a black paint, so there's double paint on this one, and then the clear coat. That's why it's thicker than all the other paint. It's also steel. So you got a little bit of an aluminum panel, but mostly steel panel on this one. And once again, as I mentioned, I'm not too crazy about the orange peel across the board. But the paint thickness is actually better than average all around, other than this door right here. So I'm not sure why this one is pretty thin. But now let's take a look at the interior and see how good the quality is. Okay, so I'm inside the Murano now, and this is where the biggest advantage of the Murano is. So if you compare to, let's say, the Toyota Highlander, or even the Grand Highlander, or the Honda Passport or Pilot, or any other models within this price range, this looks way more upscale. In fact, it kind of looks like interior right from Infiniti, because it's kind of Lexus level. We have nice stitching here, two-tone finish, different mixture of materials, even stitching over here. Beautiful finish here that's not piano black, thankfully, but kind of like a layered aluminum look. It's obviously synthetic. A little bit of glossy black here, a little bit of glossy black here as well, but not too much. And just overall, the different mix of textures here, you have a kind of simulated wood. It's really beautiful. I think it's kind of patterned after what they did with the Nissan Murano electric car, which also has a beautiful interior, and even the seats with this kind of light beige color mixed in with a darker beige color. It's really beautiful. I mean, people say this looks like an expensive vehicle when they enter the car, but yet this is a very affordable vehicle that competes directly with Toyota Highlander in terms of pricing, and it just looks much more expensive. I think Nissan really knows how to design interior. It used to be Audi that was the leader of interior design, but now I actually think it's Nissan that has the best design overall. But what about the quality? Well, if I do my punch test, nothing is loose. I have nice soft texture and also extended stitching all the way on the door as well. 1, 2, 3 different materials mixed together, and large center console, and all the parts fit well. I don't see anything loose. I can't even see gaps because they're really tightly integrated with each other, and the seats have been very comfortable. I took it for quite a long drive last couple of days, and it's been super comfortable. So I think the interior is very practical. It's roomy in the second row, lots of cargo space. It is definitely bigger than Nissan Rogue, so it's more useful and more practical and not much more money. So it's a beautiful design. I love the interior. I think engineer did an amazing job. Now let's take it for a drive and see how this thing performs on the road, because that's where it really matters the most to me. By the way, I do have one complaint about this vehicle, and that is this haptic style HVAC system for controlling temperature and fan and so forth. Like, you're supposed to just touch a little bit and then it responds, but the feeling is very unnatural, and you keep trying to push it harder when you don't have to because it's not a button. So I don't understand why car companies always do this, but just give us a real button, physical switches, and everything is solved. I'm not sure why we're trying to force this kind of touch panel style haptic thing, and it doesn't work very well. So now I'm taking the Murano on the road, and this is where you begin to notice some differences. First of all, because the variable compression ratio engine is supposed to maximize performance while maintaining efficiency, because it can do both high compression and low compression. And so the design and the engineering behind it is really cool and very unique. In practical terms though, most people won't notice much difference. I feel like the low end grunt is actually pretty good, but the whole engine doesn't quite feel as peppy as, let's say, a 2.4 liter turbo or 2.4 turbo hybrid in Toyota models. Obviously that's a larger engine, so it's got more power and torque as well. But what I do really like about the Murano is that it is very, very smooth. The transmission shifting is so silky smooth that you almost can't tell it's shifting. And thankfully, it's no longer CVT. It is a real shifting transmission. And again, the power isn't great, but there's enough torque. If you step on it, it goes pretty good. And it has a bit of an interesting sound to the engine. It might be partially on purpose, but supposed to give you a feel of a sort of a sportier vehicle. But I do like the steering feel. The steering feel is better than what you find in typical Toyota models. You pick any Toyota models and they tend to be pretty boring and bland in terms of steering effort and steering characteristic, but this one has a bit more feedback. It has a little bit more weight to it. It's still very light, but a little bit more weighty than what you find in, let's say, a Highlander. Maybe not quite as good as what I find in, let's say, Honda Passport or Pilot, but pretty close. I think Honda and Nissan are both better in terms of steering effort and characteristic than Toyota models. But the main thing I want to point out is that this vehicle feels really luxurious for the price. It's very competitively priced. It's beautiful inside, lots of standard features, very roomy, but yet it's not priced that much more than top of the line RAV4. So really good value, really good pricing. And like I said, it's a little bit sportier than your typical Japanese SUVs. So I would say it kind of feels like a European. The design inside, the overall driving feel, and the character are a lot like a European models from Volkswagen, maybe even Audi or BMW. It has that typical European feel, and that's something that people will like, because some people might just get really bored with traditional Japanese offerings from Toyota and Honda. And yet this one has a bit more spice to it, a little bit more character to it. And there's no surprise, because Nissan and Renault from France have a very strong partnership. They own part of each other's company, and therefore there's no surprise that Nissan Murano has some European characteristic. At the end of the day, what do I really think of the Murano? Well, I think it's priced right and it's sized right. So it's not too big like a Grand Highlander. It's not too small like, let's say, the existing RAV4. It handles about the same as what you'll find in Honda models like the Pilot and Passport. The engine performs well, transmission is really smooth, the quality looks really good inside and out. But the interior design is beautiful and gorgeous, looks way more expensive than what you'll find in a typical model in this price range. And overall feel is European, but it's Japanese and also still built in the US. So lots of interesting facts and insight about this vehicle. I do like the idea behind variable compression turbo engines. It makes sense. If they can maintain good reliability, then this engine could be a true winner, because again, from technical and engineering perspective, it's a amazing marvel of engineering to have a variable compression turbo engine. So it feels really good from that perspective. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the Nissan Murano. It's a bit controversial in terms of design, in terms of variable compression turbo engine, but otherwise beautiful design inside, really good engineering behind the scene, and for the money and for the value, you can't beat it. If you learned something from me on this video, please give me a thumbs up, make some comments, and if you haven't done so yet, would you kindly subscribe as well. Until next video, I'm signing off for now. Thank you so much.